may have noticed that we haven't mentioned yesterday's January 6th committee criminal referrals of Donald Trump and other Republicans to the Justice Department. I know, all the broadcast networks and other cable news stations, it was the top story. Must be analyzed for hours. This is huge. It's monumental. It's historic. No, it's not. Not really. But we are going to have something to talk about. There are some things that we can learn from this and some things that we need to know about it. So let's get to it now with Julie Kelly of American Greatness. She's a reporter that's been covering it unlike anyone else, and certainly more thoroughly than anyone else. Julie, am I wrong? I mean, I'm trying to write this off because I feel like we're being baited by Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger and Adam Schiff. Is this a big deal, what happened yesterday?
It is only a big deal in terms of some criminal indictments are coming against Donald Trump. We've talked about that before. I've written about it for months. I have no doubt that this DOJ will bring at least 2 charges against Donald Trump: obstruction of an official proceeding and conspiracy. Those are the 2 main felonies that have been charged against now 900 plus Americans and counting, related to the events of January 6th. So what the committee did was a lot of political theater, as you can, I'm sure you're shocked to hear that. They know that probably 2 of those charges are coming. Now they can kind of look like they're the ones who forced the DOJ or compiled all this evidence to give federal prosecutors to move forward with these criminal indictments. So I'm not sure how DOJ is going to respond. I don't think they care because they've already been investigating Donald Trump now for months.
What I'm unclear on here is, Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General under Donald Trump, he recused himself from all matters pertaining to Russian collusion, which of course we know now was a complete fraud. But Jeff Sessions recused himself merely because he worked on the Trump campaign. Well, Merrick Garland is the Attorney General and not a Supreme Court Justice because of Donald Trump. Donald Trump ran on the campaign promise that he would remove Merrick Garland from consideration as a Supreme Court Justice. How does Merrick Garland not recuse himself for that obvious personal conflict?
Not only should he recuse himself, I'll tell you one of the real villains in all of this is Lisa Monaco, the Deputy Attorney General, who is a longtime Obama loyalist, was his Homeland Security advisor in the White House in the final year of the Obama White House. She was also a Russian collusion architect. She helped promote and plant the seeds of the Russian collusion hoax. She was Bob Mueller's chief of staff when he was FBI director. And in the 4 years between Obama and Trump, she was on CNN all the time complaining about how Michael Flynn violated the Logan Act and all of these things, how Donald Trump should be removed from the presidency. Unfortunately, Larry, she got 48 Republicans to confirm her to basically run DOJ day to day. Should she recuse herself? Absolutely. Merrick Garland? Absolutely. Matthew Graves, the D.C. U.S. Attorney, who is a Biden campaign advisor, he's appointed to the most powerful U.S. Attorney's office. They all should recuse, but they haven't. At the last minute, they appointed Jack Smith, who is not even in the country, as special counsel,
right,
simply moving all these same prosecutors and investigators over to the special counsel office in this head fake by Merrick Garland.
Julie, also strangely absent from yesterday's summary report from the committee was any mention of what the FBI knew about this, whether they were involved, whether they were on the ground during the riot of January 6th. What should we know about the FBI? What do we still not know that maybe we can find out when the Republicans are in charge of the House?
Well, look, the big question on our side, Larry, and we're getting drips of this evidence as the trials get underway, how many FBI informants and undercover agents were involved months before January 6th and certainly on that day? Yesterday, a 160-page executive summary was released. I did a search for Christopher Wray's name. It's not even in this report. The only one line about the FBI is how the FBI had stationed these elite forces at Quantico the weekend before, which is also an underreported story, and they were deployed to the Capitol later. That's all that this summary has disclosed so far. I'm sure they didn't even interview Christopher Wray or any of his top deputies. That should be a huge red flag, Larry, that House Republicans need to jump on immediately, because now we know for a fact there were numerous FBI informants involved months before January 6th.
And we do know that there were FBI informants that were involved with this group, the Proud Boys. And let's turn to that, because at the same time as this report was being released yesterday here in Washington, D.C., it was also the first day of jury selection for the Proud Boys trial. I mean, Julie, we already know that it's nearly impossible for somebody right of center to get a fair trial and a fair jury in the D.C. area. But add to that the fact that this was the dominant story in Washington while they were selecting the jury. I mean, this sounds like a mistrial on day one.
It absolutely should be. The cases of both the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys should have immediately been moved out of Washington, D.C., not just because of the political bias of the city, but because these two groups were a fixation of this committee. You had during the Oath Keepers trial in September, as the trial is going on, you have the committee talking about defendants who are on trial for seditious conspiracy as their trial is going on. Same thing with the Proud Boys. They blame basically the Proud Boys for inciting the insurrection along with Donald Trump. And this committee hearing is on Monday as jury selection begins. It's going to be ongoing tomorrow with this report lands. But you have two judges, Amit Mehta, an Obama appointee, and Tim Kelly, shamefully a Trump appointee, overseeing this Proud Boys case. They should have moved those trials out of D.C., far out of D.C. They didn't. And to your point, I think a natural mistrial case.
If I'm a Republican and I'm about to take over a committee coming up this next January, and I want to re-examine first what really did happen on January 6th with regard to Nancy Pelosi, House leadership, Sergeant-at-Arms, Capitol Police, why there wasn't enough security, what the communications were, why on one side of the Capitol windows were being broken and cops were being pushed up against by a crowd, but on the other side of the Capitol the doors were being opened and grandma was let in. If I were one of those Republicans wanting answers on all that, I'd pick up the phone and call Julie Kelly. But if they called you, what would you tell them? Where would you tell them to start looking first?
Very simple. Release the thousands of hours of surveillance video that was captured inside and outside the building on January 6th. This trove of video will be very revealing. It's under protective orders in court cases. Capitol Police have designated it highly sensitive government information. Release the tapes. This is very simple. Some House committees have this trove of video. Put it on a platform, let the American people see. Were there operatives dressed as Trump supporters inside the building before the breach, as Representative Clay Higgins suggested, and ask Christopher Wray directly, who wouldn't answer the question. Who built the gallows, the noose outside of the Capitol? We still don't know. We have no video or photographs of that. No one has been charged with that. Let's see all the media that was planted inside the building before the breach happened. That's where I would start. Then I would start going for records and communications between Capitol Police, Mayor Muriel Bowser, Nancy Pelosi, and Mitch McConnell. Let's see what they were concocting before January 6th altogether.
You think the new Republican leadership will do that?
No. One can dream.
One can. Hope you have a great Christmas, Julie Kelly. I appreciate you covering this, and I appreciate you being available to us whenever we need an expert on what's going on with the ongoing January 6th debacle. Thanks, Julie.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Larry.
That's Julie Kelly, American Greatness. We've got more to come. Keep it right here. It's O'Connor Tonight on Salem News Channel.